was actually approaching it of like, this could be really delightful where they just like click this magic right button. We're very much encouraged to do this, but I think again, it's in service to opening up our time to think about like bigger problems and solve like harder problems. A voice dictation kind of thing, and you're describing kind of what you're trying to create and what story you're trying to tell. So really we see AI as decreasing the level of competency and capacity you need to design.
Welcome to Artificial Insights, where we talk to leaders and thinkers in AI about how to do AI right. I'm your host, Daniel Manary, and this is Season 4. Here, we sit down every other Friday with people who build things with and write things about AI and talk to them about what they do and why they do it. Today, I'm joined by Ahmad Iqbal. Ahmad has been a product manager since before that term was defined and was Canva's first generative AI product manager, leading their adoption of generative AI. And now he's switching up his role to lead Canva's expansion into the Middle East and North Africa. Ahmad, before we jump into things, I think there's a question that's on everybody's mind with a podcast like this, which is, Ahmad, are you an AI?
Well, my initials are AI, but I'm not an AI
Fair.
yet.
Uh, and could you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm actually transitioning roles at the moment, but I am a product lead at Canva. I've been building product at Canva for almost 4 years now. And I guess my claim to fame at Canva is that I was Canva's first Gen AI product manager. Our first like Gen AI features were kind of, I led and kind of oversaw and ideated and implemented and grew. And so right now I'm also managing like our largest used AI product portfolio. So that's sort of like my claim to fame at Canva at the moment. But now I'm transitioning to a new role, super exciting. I'm going to be now leading up and heading up our Middle East, North Africa, and Pakistan regional expansion. So I'll be moving to the region and basically, expanding our footprint there. So that's the last region where Canva does not have a presence. We have presence in Latin America, in Europe, South Asia, India, Sub-Saharan Africa. I mean, we have presence everywhere except the Middle East and North Africa. So yeah, that'll be my job in kind of pioneering in that space too.
Wow. That My first impression is that doesn't seem like a straight line
Yeah.
between those two things.
Yeah.
Like, what is the link?
There's really no link. I think the link is just me. I mean, even the same way that the AI stuff came around for me as a product manager was before that I was PMing our design insights product, which is sort of like the Google Analytics kind of version in Canva, which gives you insights about your designs and your visits and link clicks and things like that. So that was what that was the first product, again, another 0 to 1 product that I was leading. But this was also during the time when I think GPT-3, like DaVinci 3 or DaVinci, I forgot the numbers, but they had released in a beta, like a developer beta, which I had gotten access to. So I was playing around with that and just kind of, hacked around some stuff. And I was actually thinking about doing another, like my own kind of side business, because I also, with one of my friends, we develop Shopify apps on the side. So we were actually thinking about doing like a Shopify app using this new AI, this LLM stuff, like, maybe it'll create a content calendar for your store based on what you sell and things like that. So like maybe like an Airtable integration with AI in your Shopify, and we're thinking about ideas like that. But then I had this idea of, well, there's this hackathon happening at Canva. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I can use this at our Canva hackathon. And we built basically LLM inside the design editor, the canvas, right? Which is about 90% of all designs have a text element. So it just felt like a pretty big surface area. We have about a billion designs are published a month at our current rate, but it's, increasing exponentially. But at the moment, it's like a billion designs a month are created and 90% of them have a text element. So it just felt like a kind of a big surface area to implement LLMs so that it helps our users find the right words for their designs. So that was sort of that was the idea. And yeah, the hackathon was really successful. It worked. We had a working prototype after the 48 hours. And, Mel saw the demo and she was like blown away. This was also at a time where this is pre-ChatGPT, right? So this is anybody talking about LLMs. So it was really kind of, I think it caught a lot of people by surprise that, wait, this technology exists. Like, what is this? Like, Actually, people thought it was actually just like a Figma mockup, that it wasn't a real working link. They just thought that it was a Figma, like a Figma design animation. But no, I sent them the working link. It kind of blew some people's minds. And then from there, basically the next day, like I think a few days later, Mel was like, "All right, this is your new mandate. You're gonna be doing this new like LLMs in Canva kind of projects, and so let's see where this goes." And that's basically how it happened. That was our first Gen AI product. And then from there, we obviously went to generative image, we have generative video, we have generative design like full on designs. We're using AI and subtitles in videos and a lot of internal products checks, safety, like moderation, trust and safety checks. Like we're kind of using it all over the place.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to imagine it wasn't even that long ago. That's 3 years
Yeah, it was
ago.
like 3 years
But
ago. I think it was exactly 3 years ago, actually.
oh, good timing.
Yeah.
Good timing. 'Cause I can't even imagine going back there and saying, like, I've never seen this before. Oh, what is happening? I thought this couldn't be live. But it feels like you were looking into it and you were kind of like the right person in the right place at the right time. Because even just talking about like the surface area to implement over, that's a pretty advanced way to think about. So how did you get into that place and time to be like, yeah, this is a cool thing I can take advantage of?
I mean, I don't know if it's that advanced to think about, but we just have this kind of ethos at Canva, which is that really the theme of our product, and once I tell you, you're gonna say, "Yeah, that's so obvious," is accessibility, right? Like,
Mm,
we want to make Canva just like the easiest design, like, creative and productivity tool on the market, where a child as young as 6, 7, 8 years old can just sit in there and be able to use it and design like amazing looking things and feel happy and feel proud and confident in what they're doing. And basically to feel confidence in their work, right? We don't want people, if you look at Photoshop, there's a million tabs and all these little buttons and icons, and you don't know what's the difference between one or the other. And even icons have submenus to icons, have submenus to icons, and it's this crazy kind of interface that doesn't give users confidence in that they are doing their best work, right? You're just you have to go to school for a year even just to get confident in using that tool. So our product strategy is very different in that it's just simplicity is the goal. I mean, there have been amazing product like feature ideas that we've had that would just create like this incredible product that could just do very complicated tasks and simplify like whole workflows, but we've decided not to ship them because they just weren't easy to understand and they were confusing to the user to figure out what is this even doing. So I mean,
mm,
we only ship things that are really easy to understand, basically. And so
yeah.
given that's our product strategy, we always are looking for ways, I think, to make it easier for designers, for our users to, get to their end state quickly, get to their published state where they either download their document or share the document or whatever, or upload their document, whatever that end state is, whatever is going to get them to that with the most confidence and ease and delight is sort of what we do. And I think I was actually approaching it from the delight factor. Not I wasn't even thinking about it
Mm,
from this is going to save time or this is going to, be like this increase the quality of whatever they're writing. For me, I was actually approaching it of this could be really delightful where they just like click this magic right button and it just generates the text based on their context. Yeah, that's where the idea kind of came from, to solve just that accessibility, to kind of hit on that accessibility angle.
yeah. I You mentioned at the beginning that it would be obvious when you said it, and I think just having used Canva, yes, it's clear that the commitment to that design ethos is solid. That's such a cool way to come up with a thing to just this would be fun to use. Let's do it. And how did you get from there to something that sounds to me a little bit more like a corporate executive? Let's go head up a new region for the business. That doesn't sound delightful, is it?
No, I mean, so again, for even with Magic, right? I mean, with the AI tooling, I'm not an AI product manager. I don't have any technical training in AI or anything like that. It's just, I think, like you said, right time, right person, right place was the whole situation. I don't pretend to say that I'm like this really smart guy that knows how to do everything. I think it's just luck and just being the right time at the right place, basically. I think a similar thing happened with this new role. We're looking at expanding in the region. I grew up in the region. So I grew up in Saudi. So I know a lot of players there. I know the culture there. I know how business is done there. And so I kind of noticed a few things in the business that maybe I would disagree with that approach. And so I just kind of softly mentioned, hey, if you don't mind, like maybe I can just go on like a fact finding trip for Canva, go to a few people, meet a few people, get a sense, plant some seeds, get a sense of how things are going there and what might be, where do we even set up? Which city do we use? Which city do we set up? Do we go to Cairo, Doha, Dubai? Like, where are we setting up? And yeah, like the trip was like super productive. Got a lot of really great introductions, made progress on a lot of, I think, impactful deals. And then it kind of just became like a, okay, well, you kind of already did the job, the first step of the job. So if you want the job, it's yours. And I was like, yeah, I'm happy to switch things up and, let's try this for a little while.
That's a very humble way to talk about what you're doing. I appreciate that because I think the one piece that also seems common here is that your commitment to the ethos. It's like, how does the business work? How does the customer get served, even, is so key to making a business work. And it sounds like to what you've done as well.
Yeah, so, it you mentioned that this is like this corporate kind of role. It's really not. Our strategy and our regional expansion is very much like baked in like the truly local product experience. You
Mm.
know, it's about making the tool accessible in that language, right? So that's the job. When people are in Japan and they're using Canva in Japan, they actually ask, they wonder, "Oh, we didn't know Canva was a Japanese company."
Ha.
That's how truly local it is. Like, we're making pop culture references that are, like, true to that region. The slang that we're using and the dialects that we're using are very local. The partnerships that we're making in terms of, like, the advertising and the influencers that we're using locally are, like, very, very local. So it just, like, end to end, it just feels like a local business. And so we've replicated that for all of these international markets, which has been what's been, I think, a major driver of success for us. And so it is really a product job. It is sort of like localizing the product is the job. So it still feels like a product role. Of course, there
Mm.
is like enterprise deals and partnerships and things like that that you also have to do, but I still I will still need to wear my product hat in this role.
And the localization feels like such a daunting task. Is that something that you would also consider using AI for, or is there just, I don't know, so much around it?
Yeah, I mean, we really do wanna be truly local. That's one of our, like, strategies, like, strategic, like, values. And so
Mm.
we'll hire local people. I think I can't I don't speak Arabic, so I wouldn't be able to do that anyway, but hire really good people, really people that understand the language, that understand the culture, that understand, like, the local kind of pop culture and stuff like that, and, just empower them. I think that's the role. But I think what I have is, I have 4 years of experience in Canva. I kind of know what is the culture at Canva, how we work and the Canva way and the importance of accessibility. So yeah, I think that's again, it's part of the job.
Yeah. I One of the things I was wondering about that AI and localization thing is it feels like so many people are doing things like translation with AI. That's such a small piece of localization that it almost might not be the right strategy if you really want to make it accessible. Available maybe, but not accessible.
Right.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
We love the term truly local. We're like
Mm.
truly local. And yeah, an AI, an LLM based in, hosted in Silicon Valley that's translating for Arabic in like Cairo. It's not local in any way. Yeah, truly local. I mean, of course, we use AI to help and accelerate some workflows, but there's still a human at every kind of critical step in that flow.
That's, I think, a very interesting topic because so many people want to automate the work so that they can step away from it. It's kind of how I see people talk about AI consultancies in some cases. They'll set things up for you so that you can get it done faster. Is that process you described of automating, but it's for the people doing the work? How does that work at Canva, and is that part of that ethos?
Yeah, I mean, just generally for any role, we are now like very much encouraged to use AI in everything. I mean, it's even become part of our like
Hmm.
we don't call them performance reviews, but they're kind of like performance reviews, even when we're doing those, we do them twice a year. There's like a proper section which is about how are you using AI, what processes have you implemented, are you using AI more now than this time last year or like this time 6 months ago. So it is very much a part of our like people and training policy. Even a few, like I think it was a month or so ago, we had an AI discovery week, which was a full week where we like canceled all of our meetings, anything non-crucial, and just dedicated time in learning new AI skills. So we had our, reps, we have enterprise access to Claude, Gemini, and ChatGPT. So we like, anyone can choose which one they want. Many people have multiple, like all three. We have Cursor enterprise licenses. We have a bunch of others that I don't use. So I'm not sure they're maybe suited for other roles. But, we had, for example, Anthropic, Gemini, and OpenAI reps kind of do deep dive, advanced sort of training for like how we could get our workflows updated. And they were prepped beforehand on these are the workflows that we do. And so they prepped examples. And then same thing with Cursor. We did that with Cursor and with our internal like creative technologists and how they've set up like templates for us. And so if I wanted to prototype another feature inside a Canva like surface area, we already have the right templates uploaded into certain Cursor files that we can access. And, I can edit that to change a button or add a button. I don't have to recode the whole tool to make it look and feel the right way. So yeah, there's a lot of this that we do. And we're very much encouraged to use AI for everything. Even, Cliff will send me a message and he'll like want some report or want something. He's just use like deep reasoning for it and let me know what you think. Yeah. So we're very much encouraged to do this, but I think again, it's in service to opening up our time to think about like bigger problems and solve like harder problems.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. I admire that approach of it almost sounds like it's people first rather than process first. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, Canva were a very different company, I think. Even when the tech downturn happened, after 2021, 22, whenever that was, we didn't do any layoffs. Even every round of
Wow.
layoffs, when, Shopify let go of 15% of their people, Microsoft let go of 15,000 people, whatever all those numbers that were coming out, these huge numbers, we didn't lay off a single person.
Hmm.
So, yeah, we very much are people first. Yeah. I mean, people love working at Canva. People don't want to leave.
And apparently you're happy taking on new things as well. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, see, that's the other thing as well is, you'll see people taking on roles that are not even their role, right? So, doing this, even
Hmm.
before this, I was kind of informally the country manager for Pakistan. Even though it's not even a role, like there's no JD for it. It's not anything. It was just, I know Pakistan. I'm from there. I was there on vacation. Yeah, so on vacation. And I was like, I bet I could close this Ministry of Education deal. And it happened, now Canva, we've signed like a Ministry of Education deal where all public schools in Pakistan get free Canva access for all their students.
Cool.
That was also something that I led and took on, which kind of also I think paved the way for the regional role too, because I kind of already shown that I can do things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, like you'll see people will step out of their roles and there's a lot of agency.
Yeah. Generally, I like to ask people how they got into AI because you described yourself as non-technical, but it sounds like that wasn't a barrier. What did that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really a product manager role, right? Which is, I think all product managers or most product managers are people who love building tech but are not technical. And that's like what a product manager is. So I think that's very much, I love building. So, product manager is just like a great role for me. I've always loved it. I mean, I was doing product manager role even before I knew that there was a term product manager. I mean, when we met, for example, I didn't even know that there was a term called product manager. I just found out later on when I explained to somebody what I do, they're like, "Oh, you're a product manager." I was like, "Wait, what's that?" Like, what exactly what you do? It's like, "Oh, okay." But again, we getting into AI was more like I was introduced through a friend who was like, "Hey man, have you seen this? Check this out." He showed me like I think it was GPT-2 at the time. So I kind of like, "Wow, this is incredible." And it was just like blowing my mind every time I used it and I couldn't believe it. And again, this is pre-ChatGPT. So this is like using the playground,
Yeah.
the sandbox and like just seeing it work in like the developer portal. I think just seeing that and then seeing like all the things that could unlock all the different product experiences and workflows that this could unlock. It just again it was like the product manager's dream, right? Because you just have so many ideas coming through from that. Then it becomes like doing the product manager type role, which is getting people excited, rallying your team around this idea, getting stakeholders to like also get pumped about this idea, carving out the space and putting together like a product, like an AI product strategy and like what AI looks like in Canva and kind of, leading the charge on that. So then it's just that. And then at the end of the day, after all of this is said and done, since very few people at Canva were thinking about this at the time, then it just kind of, again, it was a timing thing. And it just kind of, I think, just kind of became the center, or not the center, but one of the folks in the center of that were thinking about this. Now there's way smarter people thinking about it, thank goodness. Now I'm like, I'm not subject matter expert anymore, and for good reason, because we've started bringing in like actual experts. So yeah.
That is a fun role to be the one who gets to see what the future might look like and pitch it to everybody. If you can share anything about it, what did and does that AI vision at Canva look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think I explained it earlier. Again, it's all about accessibility. Yeah, we just have to, if you really want to understand Canva, you just have to understand that one word, which is accessibility. How do we empower anybody in the world to design, to get what they have in their mind's eye, or get whatever they're trying to get out on their presentation or their document, or they're trying to writing, or whatever it is that they're trying to do, we just want to make it easy and fun and have people feel confident in what they're working on. That is our like mission. And AI helps a lot of this, right? Because before, the way that I think Canva really innovated and excelled in kind of a rapid growth was because it was just very easy to design. You didn't have to have a Photoshop certificate to design a social media post. You could just use Canva, and because we made it so accessible, we grew the pie of designers. Now more people, it was feasible for them to try their hand at design, whereas before there was too much of a barrier to entry. It's the same thing. I think it's happening again now with AI. Is now, whereas before you needed to be like at least like 12 years old or something to be able to use Canva. Now it's like you could be 8 years old, or you could be 6 years old, or maybe you could be even 4 years old, just using like a voice dictation kind of thing, and you're describing kind of what you're trying to create and what story you're trying to tell. So it's just like, really, we see AI as decreasing the level of competency and capacity you need to design. Right.
Hmm. That makes sense, I think. And I have some small children I can test out that theory with, so maybe I'll do that later.
Yeah.
But competency and capacity and AI being the way that you increase those sounds like a great goal.
Yeah, I mean, what I mean, not to increase their capacity and competency, but to kind of remove the
Mm.
level of competency you need to come up with a great looking design, or a great looking like story, or a great looking, whatever it is, output that you're trying to create.
Hmm.
Right. Let's say like I'll take my 5-year-old son as an example, right? He's starting to get into drawing and things, but he doesn't have the fine motor skills to actually get out exactly what he's thinking. Like, he's trying to draw like Leonardo the Ninja Turtle, but it doesn't look anything like Leonardo the Ninja Turtle, right? Because he just doesn't have the fine motor skills. And even when he's trying to describe something, he may not have the vocabulary to tell the story that he's trying to tell. So a lot of ums and ahs, and the way that the story is structured also kind of doesn't make sense in what he's talking about. But imagine that there could be some kind of an AI layer in this kind of creative tool. Regardless of your fine motor skills, or regardless of your vocabulary, you're still able to get that story, that video, that short movie that you're trying to make, and have it be exactly what you were thinking, right? So that, I
Hmm.
think, is like really magical, and that's what I think AI is going to enable, and how we at Canva are thinking about the future of AI within our space,
Yeah.
within our creativity and design space.
Yeah. And are there some ways that have come up or been proposed that you said, no, that's not right for us?
I don't think we have that kind of a mentality in anything. I think the only thing that it would be something where it doesn't make something easier to understand. Like, if it's a like very complicated AI tool, if we weren't able to really properly make that complex thing super simple, if we're not able to do that in making it simple, then that's where we don't think it's a good fit, until we can figure out how to make it simple.
Hmm. Yeah, you mentioned some workflows that were too complicated to release. Not necessarily AI, but same principle.
Mhm.
And what do you see as the future of AI with design, but also just in general with all.
I mean, it's such a heavy question. I mean, it could be so many things. I really enjoy thinking about this through the lens of Marshall McLuhan.
I think I know that name, but can you remind me?
Yeah, so he's actually a Canadian guy from he was a professor at U of T in the 50s and 60s and 70s, I think. He's basically the grandfather or the godfather of the study of media and technology. So in the 50s, he like really founded the concept of media studies. There was no such field of study of media. So he really pioneered that. And he had like a, anything in the 60s, also like this postmodern like era was very first principles oriented, right? Very
Mm.
much first principle thinking. So he's the one who has that really, really kind of memorable quote that you may or may not have heard. It's called "The medium is the message." Yeah,
Yep.
so that was his
Mm.
phrase. The medium is the message. And, he just has this thought of like media ecology, right? Technology and how technology affects culture. And he really pioneered all this stuff. So I have his book with me at all times on my desk here. It's Understanding Media by Marshall McLuhan. So I think this is actually the textbook that he used in his course. It's from 1964. But you'd read this book now and you'd think he's talking about AI. But again, he was such a first principle
Wow.
thinker. He wasn't necessarily talking about AI. He was just talking about just a new technology, a new medium. At the time, you would actually you could argue that he's talking about the television over radio, but he doesn't reference the television like that much. He's not saying I'm talking about the television. He just talks about new technology, but he's talking about first principles. So he doesn't mention the television, but really like it is the television that was what was going on at the time that he wrote this book. The television was a crazy kind of proliferated medium because it went from radio to television in a matter of 2 decades. Like, it went from, like,
Mm.
0.0001% of the household had a TV, and then within 2 decades, it was, like, 97% of households had a TV. 2 decades is,
Wow.
like, really not a long time, especially, if you're talking about from the 50s, from, like, 1950 to 1969. It's really not a
Yeah.
long time that just changed the world completely, right? It went from the living room, the TV room, didn't exist. And then after that, every house has a TV room, right? The idea of, TV at dinner time and that thing and like getting together and watching news and like how the medium changed. And that's something I like to think about too. And the big lesson for me here is the analogy that I always like to share is when the radio first came out, which was taking over the medium of the newspaper, every radio program was somebody reading the newspaper, but it was just they took the previous modality and tried to put it on this new medium popular modality into the new medium, which is this reading the text of the news. But then over time, they realized, oh, well, radio is actually great for music, or you could have a two-way conversation. Somebody could call in and you could have like a game show or you could have an interview. It could be a conversation, like a podcast, type of thing. So the medium radio changed, right? It wasn't just people reading the newspaper.
Mm.
Then when the TV came out, the first TV shows were like camera recorded radio broadcasts, right? So they were like what we're doing now. It was like a talk show, but like on
Yeah.
camera, or it would be like a game show, like on camera. And then eventually it changed, and there was like the sitcom, where the sitcom was like
Yeah.
invented, and then like these different types of the game show changed because now they had a set and they had an audience and they had like colors and lights and they started using the medium to its full potential. So I think we're there now with AI. Is we're using AI today to deliver the content that was the previous form of content, which is like videos and ads and social posts and reels and kind of what people are creating now. People are using AI to make better or faster, but they're still making the same thing. So I wonder, I think really where we're going to go is we're going to come to a point where we're going to realize that actually AI is way more capable than like this medium frame that we're giving it, and they can like bleed into this edges and have these other capabilities that we're not putting together yet, but we will eventually. And I think consumer behavior is going to change a lot once we do that.
I am, for one, excited about that future.
Yeah. I think it's
And
going to be a lot more participation from the audience. I think it's gonna be a lot
mm,
more audience participation in our content.
I like that.
Yeah. I think, again, so one of the things that McLuhan says, it's that the consumer becomes the producer, right?
Mm.
And we're kind of thinking about it now already. People have these things of, in the future, you'll just go on Netflix and you just type what you want to see, and the AI will just make you a new movie based on what you. I want to see a period piece of this Arab ruler that like super like fringe, no one knows about, no one's done any documentaries about. but you want to see something about a day in the life of him or something, and it'll just make it based on what it knows. Like that kind of thing, I think will definitely happen. But I think there'll be a lot more
Mhm.
different types of content too.
Yeah. I have a funny anecdote I saw recently, which was somebody posting in a Slack I'm part of. ChatGPT kept sending people to my website to buy a product that I didn't offer. So I guess I offered it now. Like I built it. You can have it now.
Yeah.
It's like nation-driven development, but making that a part of the natural experience could open up so much. And last thing from me, is there anything that you would want to share that you haven't shared so far?
I'm always really bad at this question because I never come prepared with anything. I don't have I always like empty my brain beforehand, and so now it's still empty.
Yeah.
I think people need to be using AI more. I mean, if this, this obviously this podcast
Mm,
is about AI, so maybe we talk about that here. But I think I'm really excited about how students are using it and should be using it. Like I'm really excited about working
yeah.
in maybe helping out with policy decisions and like how schools implement that in their curriculums. I think curriculums need to change completely now. I
Yeah.
think again, like in this idea where AI is going to help people comprehend. We talked about it. AI will lower the bar of kind of your level of competency and capacity needed to create something beautiful. Then the same thing will happen in terms of reducing the competency and capability of comprehending something complex, right? Where I could
Mm,
see it where, an AI could explain to my 5-year-old son, like, how a plane flies, and for him to, like, conceptually understand it, right? Because he can conceptually
yeah.
understand it. He just doesn't know what, like, thermodynamics means. He doesn't know what, like, throttle means. He doesn't know what, like, lift means and air pressure, and, like, these things are, like, vocabulary words that keep him from understanding it, just the
Yeah.
technicals of it, but he doesn't need that to know the concept of it. So I think AI is gonna help
Yeah.
young people really. I think it's really gonna turn on, like, the evolution of humanity in terms of thinking and, like, understanding complex ideas. I'm really excited about that, but I think
Yeah.
education system needs to, like, really get behind it somehow and innovate in this regard. But that's an area that's like a product area that I'd love to spend some more time thinking about.
Mm. I really appreciate that. I'm actually doing a series that we're releasing the end of August of interviewing students about things that they have built with AI. So, two university students and one high schooler, actually, who is doing some really cool stuff, building their own AI things and also running organizations to help people get involved and learn more. So, yeah, I really, really appreciate that topic. But yeah, that's it for me. I should let you go because we're at time. So thank you, Ahmed. I really enjoyed your thoughts and having you on. And for people keeping in contact with you or following you, how can they do that?
I'm not really on socials except, like, LinkedIn. I've started to spend more time on LinkedIn. So, yeah, I guess LinkedIn would be the best spot.
I made this podcast because I want to be the person at the city gate to talk to every person coming in and out doing great things with AI and find out what and why, and then share the learnings with everyone else. It would mean a lot if you could share the episode with someone that you think would like it. And if you know someone who would be a great person for me to talk to, let me know. Please reach out to me at Daniel Manary on LinkedIn or shoot an email to daniel@manary.house, which is Daniel at MANARY.HAUS. Thanks for listening.